It's the final week of season 1 of the Crew Motorfest, and so we have a new summit. This is the Final Battle Summit Guide. Let's go! Alright, before we get into it, quick shout out to Simgii. He always helps me with cuts and different lines and just general advice on these summit guides. So I appreciate him so much. And if you want, you can subscribe to his channel. There's a link in the description down below. All right, let's get into the cars first. So in this week's Summit Bundle, you're going to be getting the Koenigsegg CCGT in racing category and the Spiker C8 Aileron. I did not pronounce that right, but Aileron. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to try again. In Street 2. Now, there are some additional vehicles that I'm going to recommend for this one. I used the Lamborghini Gallardo Super Trofeo in the racing category. I used the Taycan in Street 2 and the Huracan in Street 2. And then I also used a drag car of choice. You definitely just need Nitro Chem if you have it. An escape vehicle of choice. I prefer a hypercar for this one. And then a slalom vehicle of choice. And that is whichever car class you have a full score breaker set. That's the one that you're going to want to pick for the slalom. All right, the keys to this summit are going to be Nitro Chemist, clean lines, and some shortcuts. Let's move into the pro settings real quick. I'll show you everything on all of the cars that I just recommended, and then we will move into the events. On the first event called Versus Horsepower, I'm using the Taycan. For this event, gutter turns are definitely necessary for the majority of this race, but also here are the cuts that you need to know. At 8%, you can cut across the grass on the right. In this clip, I actually used the handbrake and the NOS at the same time to initiate a drift across the grass. That drift actually helps refill your NOS bar because of the affix called Drifty that I have on my legend points. So go to your legend points, make sure you have Drifty maxed out. And then at 21%, there is a reset. You just go straight towards that checkpoint and reset your car. Some of you are still asking in the comments how to reset your car. It's the same as the rewind button, but you actually have to go into your settings and turn the rewind off. And then when you press the button, your car will reset instead. At 46%, there is another reset. Line your car up with the next checkpoint and make sure you go through it before resetting. And finally, at 62%, you want to cut to the left and aim for the next checkpoint. Don't NOS too much in the air because you will go over the checkpoint and miss it, but then continue straight when you land and try not to do what I did here. I ended up a little bit too far to the right. Try your best to end up on the left so you don't hit this stone wall like I did. All right, moving on to Muscle Reborn. Again, this one is going to be in the Taycan. There are no cuts in this one and it's a lapped race, so I'll let you watch my first full lap. I do utilize handbrake NOS turns in this one to keep my speed in certain corners. I don't really know if I've executed them the best in this clip, but it definitely had a positive effect on my time overall. I improved significantly when I started doing them. So anyway, enjoy the rest of this lap and then we'll move on. All right, this next one is called versus Brickyard 400, and this is using the CCGT. This is another lapped race, and there are no shortcuts, only clean lines and good NOS usage. Here is my full second lap for reference on both, and keep in mind, I'm not really the best at this one, but I do what I can. Enjoy. Alright, next up is versus Perfection and Greatness using the Gallardo Super Trofeo. And for this one, I couldn't put a full race together with 2 perfect laps. There's a corner that I drift, and here's what it looks like when I hit it perfectly. It's a shame I wasn't able to nail it in both of the laps, because that time would have been very nice. Anyways, here is my first full lap so you can see the cuts and the lines. Enjoy. Alright, this next event is called versus Flaunt Your Stuff using the Hurricane. If you can find a slipstream partner, it will help you the most on this race. It's just It Kiss Me Combi, which happens to be a very straight race along the coast. It does have one cut in it at the end though. It's at 91%. You're going to cut through the trees towards this checkpoint and just try your best to avoid the trees. I know it's tough, but the path I took seems to be the easiest. And just reset when you get to the checkpoint and you're basically finished. All right, moving on to versus Kanjo Thrills. This is yet another lapped race. So here is my first full lap so you can see the cuts and the lines. There is one cut that I do not take because it's a little bit too risky for me. At about 17 seconds in, you can go under this building on the right. Good luck if you attempt it. It is very risky and it's very hard to nail. And if you do get it, you can shave a second or two by doing it. After this lap, I'll come back and we can wrap it up with the feats. All right, moving on to the feats. First up is the speed trap, and for this one I'm using the Proto Hup 1 Burning Wheels edition. Nothing really tricky here. If you got Nitrochemist with Pure and Frenetic, you'll get a ridiculous score. If not, you're stuck like me in the low 300s. Definitely utilize your rewind as well so you can line it up perfectly, and so you don't have to restart every single time. If you get a bad run up, just rewind and try again. All right, moving on to the slalom. For this one I use the 458 racing car, but like I said, you can use any car that you have a full set of score breaker on. That's really the key to this, and you need to max out your skilled affix. That also means you're maxing out your skilled affix in your legend points as well. So make sure you've got all of that. And if you do, you'll get a great score, provided traffic gives you a tiny break. All right, moving on to the last event of the summit, and that's the escape with the Agera R. Now, we did this one in a previous summit as well. You'll need to jump onto the highway using a hypercar of your choice, and then continue on to get around 7,000 distance. That gives you a very good score. It's a tough one because that jump is a little bit of a bear, but when you do get the jump, just try to drive clean on the highway. You'll get a really good score if you can get up there. All right, here are my final scores. I ended up in second place overall by the time I finished recording the clips for this guide. I know it won't stick because there are only 4,500 people who've participated, but I'm really proud of the scores this week. I feel like I did pretty good. The only one that's maybe lacking a little bit is the speed trap. Other than that, they're all pretty solid. Anyway, DM me with questions. I'm always open to it. You can send me a DM on Instagram, Twitter, or Discord, and I actually answer the Discord and Instagram ones a little bit faster. I check those much more often. Anyway, all right, thanks for watching. I really hope this helps, and I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.